What is happening, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Why Did I Buy a Mini Truck? So this one's going to be pretty quick. I'm just going to kind of go over some of the stuff I've been working on, trying to finalize this kit, so hopefully we can get it all ready for paint this weekend. But let me just give you a quick rundown of some of the stuff that we got on the truck. So up here in the front, went ahead and got our fender mirrors all on. So I got them just up. Now there is another screw that's going to come up from the bottom. So the way that these work is there's a bolt that heads down, a little nut and a washer wrap on that. And then right here, there's actually a provision to put a hold screw that allows you to kind of adjust side to side, up and down. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to put this in here, and that'll kind of lock it in the position we want. Now the lens itself is all adjustable, and then this can actually tilt with this screw right here. So that's kind of cool. I think they're going to work out really well. It took a little bit of dialing in to make sure that they were in the right location, but if you've done them once, you know, it really just depends on where you sit in the vehicle. You got to make sure you have a nice clear line of sight, and you should be good to go. So I got the front fenders on as well, and our front bumper is on. So this isn't really like a rundown of the kit and stuff. I'll give you guys a full rundown outside where I can walk around the whole thing and we can kind of talk about everything and how everything mounts up. You can kind of see along the side here how it's going to mount, and then inside here it mounts on this rail right here, which is pretty nice. Now all of this stuff is going to be M3 hardware, nothing too crazy. I mean, the skirts themselves are going to be held on here along the side, and then underneath there's three supports. So there's a support there, a support here, and a support at the front that bolt to the pinch weld underneath. So not only do you have the strength up top, but you also have the strength at the bottom. And then we got the rear flare here, all trimmed up and put on. So we do have like this little gap right there. Now it's maybe, I'd say maybe, you know, 2 fingers worth, but what I'm thinking about doing is either we're going to build a little block off plate right here, or I'm just going to pop a piece of mesh in there. Another thing I was thinking about doing was kind of seeing where this is, and then maybe even cutting a brake duct hole. So we'll have basically a cut that follows this line that will bend out, and that will bolt to this portion here, so that'll give another attachment point to the bed. And then this scoop will have a screen in it, and then on the inside here somewhere we could route a duct over to hit the brake lines, or even to cool the compressors, whatever, right? Got the Rodifab mirror shave kit in. It's underneath this mud right there, but it looks a little crazier than it should be. I kind of went overkill when I mixed, so I just put some extra on there. It's easier to take material off, so not a big deal. We'll make sure that that's nice and smooth. Then we got to work on this shaved portion of the handle. You can see that that body line right here is just a bit wonky, so we're gonna have to correct that. We did our hood vents, you guys already saw those. Kind of see a little peek of the fenders in there. It's pretty tight. Same thing over here. You know, this one I put a little less mud on, but whatever, right? Some extra sanding. I've been working on this door, so this door is taking a lot of work. This door was really, really damaged. Over here wasn't too bad where they put the insert to fill the panel, but there's just a big dent right on this side. I mean, all this stuff under here was all just like crumpled in, so I had to strip it all the way down to bare metal, and then I basically got behind it, smoothed it out the best I could, and then I added a little coat of filler, sanded down. This isn't very thick at all. I mean, this is super thin, so we should be able to work through it pretty quick. Same thing back here, flares all made up. Everything looks good, so I've got a little bit of body work to do on the bed. Got all of our stuff mounted up here. Those little white plugs you see are just paper towel, and those are there so that when we go to spray the bed, we don't get anything inside the threads. We are going to do some edge trim on the bed once we get done, but like I said, this is going to get all bed lined, so you're not really going to see any of like the seams and stuff. I did seam seal a lot of the parts of the flares, or the inner portion of the tubs, I mean. But with the roll-on bed liner, that stuff's pretty thick. You know, if you ever want to pull these tubs off, you're gonna have to drill those rivets out through some bed liner. But I think it'll look really cool and give me the durability I need if I ever do decide to do anything in the bed. So that's pretty much it for the update right now. Like I said, I'm really just grinding, trying to get as much of this stuff done as possible to try to get it ready for paint. I'm a little bit behind schedule, even though I was ahead of schedule before. So, you know, it is what it is, but we're working on it. Now that the kit is all bolted up, I am going to go ahead and figure out the spots for the vent here. I do also want to make something maybe that goes from the front fender down to the skirt, but I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to do that right now. It is something I could add later. It would just require drilling into some fresh paint, which is not something I want to do, but I just don't have the materials right now to get this made. And you know, we'll kind of see if maybe I can find something, but essentially, I don't know if you guys follow the Facebook or the Instagram, but I had drawn a few things up about making some kind of vent or some kind of attachment that comes down like this and then meets the skirt down here at the bottom. But I'm just not 100% sure on what we were going to do yet. I mean, this is a pretty thin space. Anybody with a hard body knows, especially with the 4x4 fenders, that this area is a little thin. Looking back, I would have went with just the regular front fenders, not the 4x4 fenders, because then I would have had a little bit of meat here, which would have been a lot better. Kind of would have filled in the gap a little, but we'll see kind of what we do there. You know, nothing's set in stone yet till we spray, right? So that is going to be the mini update for you guys today. I do appreciate everybody watching, sticking by. I know it has been a hot minute, all like 3 weeks or something since I posted. So I just wanted to get this out there, let you guys know the project is still rolling. Just been very busy, and we've just been kind of like working in here and getting stuff done. I did have somebody ask about the flare here in the front. They said like, hey, it looks really sunken in when you're aired out. You know, what's the deal with that? Well, the deal with that is if I ran the 1 inch or 1.5 inch or even a 2-inch flare here in the front, because I bought all of them and had to test fit them, but basically if I would have run a shallower flare, what would have happened is when I air it up, it would either A, hit the flare, or B, stick out from the flare, and that's not what I want. So when we air up, the tire straightens right out, fills that gap, and it's perfect. I mean, it looks great. When we go over the kit, I will kind of show you guys the truck, obviously aired out like it is right now, but also aired up at ride height, and I'll show you guys what the max height is. The best part about getting everything set up on the ground is the truck can be aired out and none of the kit touches. So it gives me a little bit of room to make sure that if we're somewhere we park on grass or whatever, that, you know, we have a little bit of space. And then at ride height, the truck is perfect. It's nice and low still, which I really do like. I've got about 3 inches of clearance on the frame, to the ground, which is perfect because that leaves me right around 4 inches from the kit to the ground. So that's great for dailying. And then if we ever do come up to something like a high slope driveway or something like that, we can air up even more and clear it with no problem. So it does look a little bit funky aired up all the way, kind of looks like a monster truck, but what are you gonna do, right? Anybody with bags will tell you that sometimes it's nice to have that little extra lift. Save a front end or two, or maybe a front lip. Speaking of a front lip, I've been thinking about adding a front lip in carbon and then doing some carbon side skirt splitters. Now that's really gonna bring us close to the ground, honestly. Like probably cut our distance in half, so we'd really have maybe like a 1/2 inch or less of clearance to the ground once we're aired out all the way. But that would be okay. I was thinking of doing some kind of carbon piece, and that would be the piece that would be part of here. So the piece would not only bolt in underneath the fender here, it'd probably bolt to this section here and then come out and run down, but it would run all along the side of the skirt, and that would actually come out back here to meet this part of the flare, because like traditionally on most of these wide body kits, or most wide bodies that I've seen, if you do something like that, it usually meets the back corner. And I mean, this is a lot of, this is like probably four inches of space that would be sticking out even further, and that's just not something I want to do. So really trying to figure out how to blend everything back here with everything up in the front. It really is just taking a little bit of time. This is the first time I've done a kit like this on a mini truck. This is like my first mini truck in general, so working with something like this on a new platform, it's really just a lot of trial and error, a lot of wasted money and time, but I think in the end it's all going to be worth it. And at the end of the day, that's really what our projects are all about, right? We know that the money we put into these things, we know we're not getting it back. Like, I tell myself that lie all the time, like, oh, I'm putting all this money in this truck's gonna be worth like 15 grand when it's done, blah blah blah. The reality is, every day I struggle to not put this thing up for sale on Facebook Marketplace or on Craigslist unfinished for 1/3 of what I paid just for the parts for the truck. So the reality is even if you're working on something right now, and I'm really just venting because that's how I feel with the truck itself, is, I've spent so much time and energy and effort on this thing that I want to make sure it's perfect, or as close to perfect as I can get before we spray it, before it hits the road, and that's really what it's all about, right? It's that satisfaction of knowing you built something that no one else has. And I really think that this truck is gonna be that thing. I don't know anybody else. I see projects all the time, but I don't know anybody else who's got a truck like this. And it might not be everybody's flavor. That's a real thing. Not everybody's gonna love this truck. A lot of people don't like it at all. They think it's blasphemy going from the 90s style on the mini truck to whatever this is, some JDM inspired race truck slash cruiser, that's on bags. Like, I don't even know what to call it, right? It's like, it is a bagged mini truck, but it's so much more than that. So I really appreciate everybody watching. If you guys are working on something, get out there, get those projects done, power through it, and I promise you are going to love the end result if you just stick with it. So until the next one, guys, peace.